We could get set and go. Ah! Well, it sounds like looks like that was ready to get set and go. You're going to clip that onto your trousers, see how noisy your knees are.
There we go.
Okay. So, ChatterBox number
4
or 5, could it be? It depends. It depends, because actually now we do have rather a lot of material.
We do have a lot of material indeed, and we're involving other people.
And it's very exciting, actually,
Yes,
because our purpose for this was, in part, was to sort of like get our own message out. But in the process, or messages, because we've got quite a few, but was also to bring in the voices of people around us locally, down here. We're in an outpost. It used to be an island, the Isle of Thanet.
500 years ago or so, yes.
500 years ago. That's quite recent, really, in
It is.
the time on Earth, really. But actually, we get regarded very much as a sort of like an isolated outpost.
Yes.
Where the people of Thanet very often feel that they're not heard.
Well, it's a place where I think it was an outpost. It was almost cut off from the mainland.
And people often feel that way here now, today.
Well, I mean,
think.
if you consider there's still only 3 roads on and off the Isle of Thanet.
This is true. And actually, the wrong people keep leaving. Actually, we could actually have a lot of the council officers and stuff actually just departing. That would be quite good. Do you think?
We do need council officers.
Well, we do, but we want ones that have an interest in developing Thanet and the services for the people of Thanet. I do appreciate the difficulties about government, funding and all the rest of it.
Funding is a big problem. But, I mean, I think also one of Thanet's big problems is it doesn't have much of an industrial base. It has a little bit of light industry, but in terms of employment opportunities,
it's very scarce, as we were hearing.
Yeah, well,
today.
indeed, and a lot of people will tell you.
Yes.
And in fact, we've been canvassing opinion around the town, and we will publish this at some point
soon.
But some people will tell you that that the employment simply does not exist here.
Yes.
And I know this myself. If you don't want to work in a care home or behind a bar or in a restaurant, or drive a bus.
Or drive a bus. Actually, you can drive a bus. But even the local council has very little jobs, and a decreasing number of jobs.
Well, and that's because of the decline in funding.
Yep.
So employment opportunities here are really very scarce, and I mean it's difficult actually to see, given the sort of current direction of policy, how things are going to improve. And actually, this must be characteristic. This must be replicated across the country and seaside towns.
I'm sure. Oh yes, because I think that it's hard to understand really why governments see so little value in anything other than their own little heartlands.
Yeah, I mean, I always find it amusing when you hear our national politicians, and particularly those who are in government at the moment, espousing democracy and talking about the wonders of democracy and how...
But actually we don't see it here.
And yet we live under one of the most centralising governments that we have known in a long time. And actually they have followed a number of other centralising governments who do not like local democracy. They do not like people being in positions of power who have differences of opinion with them.
Yes.
It's the diversity, economic and political diversity in this country is restricting all the time. We have a press and a media that is sort of like whose view, worldview is coalescing around a really narrow collection of perspectives. You've got the Guardian and the Independent that are vaguely centre-left. But other than that, everything are various brands of ranting Tory. And we have, I mean, the BBC, it's not their role to counteract that, but they are, and also their position is really sort of like under attack anyway, so they are sort of like in the nervous centre somewhere. everything else is on the right.
But also, I think the impact of that on people is that they feel so impotent, so unable to do anything. Many of the people in Thanet don't vote, and they feel very written off. And I think that there is no listening from the politicians. But I can see that is a process that goes through many aspects of public service. You know, a few years ago, I worked in social services as a specialist health visitor, and the Victoria Climbié report had resulted in the introduction of the Child Protection Act, and social workers were being forced to spend so much of their time producing the paperwork in order to get the reports in so that the department got its funding. Because if their reports were late, the funding went down.
Yes.
And that meant that the people whom they were supposed to be serving were getting only 20%, if they were lucky, of the time of the social workers, who were then having to write these huge reports to cover the department's back, to show that they'd done the work, which they hadn't had time to do because they'd had to spend so much time writing reports. And so it seems to me that local government and public services everything gets tied up in the knots of bureaucracy, which stops people feeling that they are worth anything, being that they're heard, that they matter, that they care at all.
Yes.
And it has an enormous impact on people's health and mental well-being.
Indeed, I think it does, yes.
And I think that, personally, I get to the point where I think, well, okay, so I clean streets and I volunteer gardening, and we raise money for taking care of listed gardens and improving the area. There's a huge campaign in Ramsgate of people picking up litter on a daily basis. There's this thing called Ramsgate Road, which is Ramsgate one a day. If everybody just picked up one piece of litter a day, the world would be a better place. Interestingly, having recently gone to Germany, there is almost no litter anywhere. But there aren't the services to give, to provide, or there isn't the funding to provide the services, to employ the people. And there's this ridiculous knock-on effect where everything is cut back, and then the detrimental impact is just greater and greater and greater on people.
Yes, in economics.
In economics, in mental health. They describe it
as the multiplier effect.
Okay.
So when you actually make a cut, the cut, for instance, to public spending, to a public service, the cut is not the only, to the service is not the only cut.
Yes.
Because basically you're reducing someone's income, so their spending is cut.
Oh yeah, so they get less tax in.
And the government gets less tax in, local businesses get sell fewer goods.
Yeah.
So they pay less tax, they
get
buy
less council
less.
Tax.
Exactly. So you have a multiplier effect
Yeah.
in terms of when government spends, or in fact banks spend. It's sort of like between 9 and 10 times the actual amount of money that they have spent. It will actually go, it'll be recycled 10 times.
Yes.
Well, the opposite is true. So if you make a cut, you're not just cutting, say, a government department to balance the books. Government spending is actually national income.
Oh, sure,
So
because they get it back.
Exactly.
You give it out and you get it back.
So if you cut government spending, you're cutting national income, and the thing is, you're cutting income, but leaving the debts the same.
Yes.
So you actually got less income.
Yes.
To actually service the same debts, and I mean, this is one of the whole big problems with austerity. Austerity, intellectually, as an economic theory, is a pile of cack. it has very little credibility
yes.
if you actually study
Yes.
the way it works and
Yes.
the cause and effect and all that sort of business.
So I think there have to be other ways of doing it.
Indeed, which is part of why we're doing
what we're doing this for, because we want to actually enable people to have a voice.
Yes.
So that their ideas, which are not being heard yet,
Yes.
can be heard and can be publicised, and so that we can help actually people to innovate and to gain value and a sense of their worth.
Yes.
Because we believe in it. We believe everybody has worth.
And I think it's worth saying that we have plenty of our own ideas about what we want to do. We're going to be going out and interviewing people and doing features. And
documentaries. We're going to be building documentaries.
And hopefully we'll be covering stuff that the mainstream media, and certainly local press and media, do not cover at all. And so we're interested in your ideas.
Yes,
and so
absolutely.
If you have a project or a viewpoint, or you believe there is a story that needs to be publicised and given some priority, then contact us.
Yes.
And you don't have to be just in Thanet either. We're looking for further afield as well. Obviously, we're based in Thanet, so Thanet is going to be one of our first ports of call. But depending on the story, we're looking for ideas and tip-offs all over the place.
Yes. So, for now...
Goodbye. Thanks for listening. Bye.